I mean, turn your camera on. Introduce yourself. I know who you are, but not too many other people.
Okay.
Okay.
Where's the camera?
I can give you a quick introduction. Hey guys, this is Dennis. He is in charge of the machine shop at QLab, which is Albuquerque's member run makerspace. Dennis has a 5,600-pound CNC mill, which took me a day of forklifting around, and is very clever about cobbling together things that he has pack-ratted away into big, excellent cameras. I think he's going to show you some homemade 8x10 that he's shot some really great X-ray portraits on. All right, Dennis.
All right, let's see. All right, so this is an Arca Swiss that I bought in pieces from KEH for $80 from eBay. So basically, this is what the camera is supposed to look like. It's supposed to look like this, except what I got was missing everything from the bottom. So just the rails and the bellows, but no ground glass or anything like that. So the bottom part was quite elegant, but I didn't have that. Anyway, so I proceeded to make that. And I started off with making some prototypes out of wood using screws and some leftover tripod heads. The bottom part is an 80-20 40 series aluminum rail. And this is what I made out of aluminum in the shop to go on top of that, the head. And this is a ground? Oh, this is a ground glass test. So this is some acrylic that was going to be a proof of concept that took to making with some Ethan's dust. This took actually about 2 hours to make, and you can see there's quite a bit of scratching on the front of it. And this is a kind of a test. Now you can see that these bellows are probably have been collapsed for about 40 years. So the bellows essentially fell apart as soon as I started opening it up, and there were quite long gashes on the sides, about 4 inches long on some ends. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to make new bellows, so I just simply reused them. I took some 3M, where it's advertised as bellows tape. I don't remember the exact number. If people are interested, I can give them the exact model number. So I just simply taped them up. I taped up the bellows, put the holders on there, and slapped on the rails, and I was done. And that's pretty much the finished camera. This is it in action. Now, there are a couple of issues. For one, when you stretch the bellows out, the heads aren't really strong enough to resist the tension, because the bellows essentially is a spring, and as you stretch it towards the limit, it starts to tilt inward. So I had to compensate by tilting backwards and then leveling it out. So it's a little time-consuming in that sense. Now, one feature is that the rails can be made short or long by unscrewing the front. Granted, there's no reason to do that currently, but it's a feature that is available if I needed to use it. This is the configuration I would use it. This is the most common configuration that we use it as. All right, so here's just some shots. I taped up the front just to make sure that there were no leaks. This was a kind of quick and dirty solution. Taking an incomplete camera. And these is some negatives from using X-ray film. I picked the Fuji green sensitive X-ray film instead of the blue one because in the past I used the or4 blue sensitive film, which was ISO 6, but I found it unusable during the daytime. I would either blow the highlights or block the shadows, so I picked green instead, and I had pretty good results from a tonality perspective. The only problem with developing them, I found, is that the red light I had wasn't really red. It was orange, and I think it caused some fogging on some of the film that I had. I can show you, let's see, some of the pictures that came out. Now this is my best one so far of my father. This was, I think, either underdeveloped or underexposed, or both. And as far as bringing out the detail on the skin, from a contrast perspective, I like to look. For a woman, I wouldn't use this kind of look.
Hey, Dennis, before you go on to the next picture, can you zoom into this one? I remember you showing me once. It's,
yeah, I can.
Pretty impressive.
But actually, it's the next picture. Is the zoom. So this is actually uploaded only 60% resolution on the website. So this is the zoomed in view. I think this is 100%. So you can count the threads on the shirt if you really wanted to. Well, not really the threads, but oh wait, you can't really see it on there. But anyway, it gets pretty close. Now, some people online complain that so the green sensitive X-ray film is actually double-sided. So there's an emulsion in the front and in the back. So you essentially get two negative at the same time. And supposedly this reduces the resolution versus, say, a traditional film. I find that I'm not really missing any resolution in these pictures. So when I scanned this was scanned on an Epson V700 at 2400 ISO. Oh, sorry, DPI, not ISO. And I had to scan it in grayscale because it produces a file about 800 megabytes in size on grayscale. Normally, I would scan it as raw in color and then invert it, but it produces files so big, you actually can't scan it. So I had to scan it in grayscale instead. So I'm definitely not missing any resolution. Now, let me see. I can show you some downsides of working with X-ray film. And the downside is all of the horrible scratches that are a byproduct of taking it in and out. Essentially, X-ray film is incredibly fragile. Now, I got lucky with that picture in that sense that all the scratches were not on the face. Now, this is before it was cleaned up. So what scratches I had were down here. So that was easy to clean up. But then comes something like this, where the scratch is right on the face, and that's not really as recoverable, for example, especially when they're that big. And now this is an example of a negative that was probably overdeveloped, and there's also some light bleeding from the film holder. The film holders I had were wooden ones, and they leak light once in a while. But this is, I guess, more typical. Yeah, this is more typical. All of these little defects. So I haven't really figured out how to insert the film in and out without damaging things. Let's see. Where's that?
You might try making a film holder where the back opens up like a door instead of sliding the film in. I have a couple old ones I found like that, 8x10 holders. And
Yeah,
and
that
they've
might,
just you only get one shot, but the back opens like a door. You can gently place the film in and gently close the door.
Or use a plate holder with a spacer behind it.
yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I might make one like that, because X-ray film doesn't seem to work with the traditional wooden holders. At least not the way I use it. Yeah, that's basically it. Let's see. Now, the other downside is having to heal out all of the dust. Takes many hours. But that's just a given. That's it for my 8x10.
Thank you, Dennis. Hey, does anybody have any questions for Dennis before we move on? I would like to point out that, one, I offered to help Dennis make a bellows, and he was too lazy. And two, we made that ground glass for that camera together, and Dennis and I cracked, like, I don't know how many sheets of glass when we were trying to cut with the glass cutter. And that was actually the first time I had ever used a laser cutter. Dennis said, like, let's just make a cheap one out of acrylic. And he cut one on the laser cutter, and I watched him, and I said, wow, this is a good tool. And that's kind of led to all of my cameras that have ground glass in them being acrylic ground glass. I have a lot of acrylic calibration tools, and then, like, ultimately leading to, like, this camera that I made with Joe and my drafting box and some other cameras. But all of that was basically because Dennis showed me how to cut on a laser cutter to make the ground glass on that camera. So thank you, even though you're too lazy to make a bellows.
I'm glad my laziness helps you.